that's where they lived when Arthur was killed during the war, 1914-18 war. And this is the fishmonger delivering fish to there, and that was quite nice. He tried to sell us some fish. Now this is when Dad lived at Fourfield Row on his motorbike, I think outside what was then number Fourfield Row. And this is me just going to discover what I can down the road. Can't remember the name of the road.
I think you were chasing a lift in that car.
Oh, now this is a nailer's cottage, and Belper is famous for nailers. Everybody was a nailer. They made nails, and this is the cottage still standing, and where they used to make them. And in a minute you'll see a picture of the nails. It's not too great a picture. There are the nails that they made that's still on the wall inside there. They were quite big, I thought, and obviously made out of iron. Now this is going up from Queen Street, looking from where I was born, I would say. This is, I can't remember, but again, an interesting place. See how closely parked the cars are? It was like a Dodgems. I don't recall this place at all. Well, I just don't recall it.
I think we were just driving around.
Oh, yes, just another part of Belper that I don't recall.
Long Row.
Long Row, yes, that was, and again, that's still got the flagstones and cobblestones and almost like it was originally, I would say. A lot of these places are like they were original, just got more paint on them, and the cars spoil the picture, I think. And again, I don't know how they cope with all the cars, because there's no garages, no nothing. And it's quite a task to drive down here. It's very bumpy.
Uncle Gerald loved doing it.
Yes, he did. But now, that's the coal house. The black thing there, you can see where they used to put the coal into the coal house.
It's
the coal
green.
man would open the, oh, Julie says it's green. He would open the door and tip the coal in. And I think this is the area where Mary Varney used to live, and the houses are protected under the Historic Places Trust.
So it's the roads.
And so are the roads too. Yes, they were quite bumpy. Now this is what was called Durbell is now Brettles. Well, it's about to be pulled down, I would say. But it was my first job, and it was my mother's first job. We both worked there, and I have that firsthand from Mother's friend. She told me quite out of the blue that was Mum's first job, and we made men's shirts. Here we literally ran into Bridget Jackson, who's in the middle holding the flowers, and she said, "Eileen Varney." And Eileen said, "Who are you?" And she said, "I'm Bridget Jackson." And I said, "Bridget, it's me, you know. I went to school with you." And but she didn't recognise me. She only recognised Eileen, because Eileen's still got the same hair colour, really. But that's Bridget Jackson.
Now listen to
Win Sondo, not Switch. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Cool.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Go on then, click it.
No, I'm not. I'm videoing
I need one
I just love it.
I need one of Bridget, because Gerald won't believe us. He just won't believe us.
Where is it going to
He's parked on the marketplace.
Coppice, yes.
It's
Is
the
he coming
Coppice, yeah.
down?
Yeah.
No,
He's having a rest.
He's
St.
hurting him.
Peter's Church is waiting for us. Yeah.
Oh.
No, I changed it
Oh.
to the Coppice.
You were just like me. One goes one way, I say, "Oh, hello, I stood down there."
You see, it's just my era, that.
I'm about to say,
Yeah.
what was it saying?
Oh, you little bugger.
In fact, I'm going to go through my pictures again, because I've got some of us standing in the schoolyard.
There you
I
are.
went to, you know where
And
Mr.
you're
Bull's
right
class
there.
used to be?
Yeah.
Well, that's still standing. I couldn't believe it.
We were at St. John's.
We're at St. John's, but you remember the prefabs at the back?
Yes.
Well, I went there yesterday, and it's still standing.
It's all flat. St. John's School.
The school is, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, but
But there's, at the playground at the back is the
Yeah, prefabs.
prefabs. And I Googled it before we came, and I said to Gerald, I said, the playground's still there, and so are the think, but we didn't expect to find that I was right.
Eileen.
I don't know. Oh.
I can't believe it.
I couldn't see it down.
They're recycle fanatics.
Well, we like to recycle, don't we?
Oh, we do, yeah.
We do.
Well, I mean, I'd love to go down with the bag sometimes and straight to the museum.
They collect down a certain time.
No, I mean the.
Now, this is what I think, almost sure, is the railway pub. And we actually ended up going in there. There we are, all having a shandy. Eileen had tomato juice, but that's Bridget and her husband, and me having my shandy. But Dad used to go there quite a bit, so I thought I might as well. And that is an old air raid shelter. I think it's possibly filled in now. And that's the Ritz Cinema where we used to queue along down there. The shop on the right is where I bought my wedding outfit. And this is where I used to pick up Mum's weekly music sheet, twopence it used to cost. And that's the only thing she spent on herself because she played the piano and had the sheet music every week. Now this is Bridget and her husband talking to Gerald, where Gerald was parked, illegally I might add. And there we are, all having a good laugh. And it was good. And this is Audrey's husband, and he's about to show us his vegetable garden. And it's a long way from his house. It's amazing. Now, where he's walking is actually on next doors. His is to the right. This is the parsnip that he presented Eileen and Gerald with, which they had for their tea. Never did find out if it tasted nice. That's his veggie garden, which runs quite a long way. It's quite different to New Zealand places because it's long and narrow and quite a long way down. Obviously, the houses were very close together. And that's their alleyway that leads down the side of their house, and the one on the right is next door, of course. And that's an alleyway in between. This is looking down King Street from the marketplace, and that's the Stag's Head in High Pavement, looking up High Pavement. And this is John Bilby's pub, Eileen's boyfriend. And Eileen met him when she was 16 and had since gone out with him since then. And she stayed with him at the pub for quite some time. And that's Gerald and I in his pub. And we're about to see oh, that's right, we moved again. On the left is into the snug, which is very tiny, and that's the fireplace in the snug. The snug wouldn't be as big as my kitchen. And that was the pies they made there. That was delicious. And we're about to see Eileen again. There's Gerald tucking in. That was quite good. And John Bilby sat in there with us. There's Eileen. She's a bit blurred. Sorry about that. But I think she moved. And this is part of the pub. This is the window from inside. That's another shot of the pub. Hollybush Inn, which is over 500 years old, and the water pump that's just outside. But it really is very tiny. That's the backyard of the pub, but all the doorways are small, everything's small. Like I say, it's over 500 years old, and quite a friendly pub. What have we got next, Julie?
That's the road leading.
Oh, that's the road leading towards Duffield, and we're off now to see where Louis was. This is where Louis lived, in New Zealand Lane. That's Arthur when he visited her in New Zealand Lane, and she lives at the back of. That's the sort of place she lived in. It's just a bit to the left of this picture, but they were all the same houses. And this is the crematorium when Louis died in 1991. This is the crematorium where her ashes are scattered. It's a beautiful place. Eileen, Julie, and I walked in there and walked all round, and it's a really lovely place. You couldn't wish for a better place. And her ashes are to the left of the large tree, and that's Louis, born on the 11th of May, and she had epilepsy and polio as a child and was paralysed down one side. And so her life wasn't too great. And this is in the grounds of the crematorium. There's all names of people whose ashes have been scattered at the backs of these walls all the way up. They're endless. And again, it is a really beautiful place. I felt much happier leaving that. And the flowers, of course, are all kept in one place. And it seems such a waste of money, but I suppose that's what we do. Mum always used to say, spend that on the living. Give the flowers to the living. They're no good to me. And this is where the edging, it was a capped edging with all people's names whose ashes are in that place. And it's fascinating to see names, well, surnames you're familiar